What's up everybody? Welcome back to Make It Custom. I'm Carl Fisher and today I'm going to be back on the 1939 Lincoln Zephyr 4-door to 2-door coupe project. What I'm hoping to get done today is I'm hoping to take the top of the windshield and I'm probably going to chop it a little bit more than I originally cut it, and I would like to fit the windshield on the car today. That is the goal, that is the plan. So we're gonna have to like mess with the pillars and line them up and get them fitted. And then I'm gonna move on to the door tops and just continue on with the project. I haven't been on this project in a while, so this is kind of special and I'm really excited. So don't forget to like, click subscribe, hit notifications. Let's do it. Well, there she is. We have the roof sitting back on. Now, when I cut this, I believe I took 3.5 inches out of the pillar, which I figured was about, 3 inches or slightly less vertical. Zephyrs are one of those cars that it really depends on I guess all cars, but they're kind of one of those cars that the chop really tells a person what style you've built the car to. Traditionally, I guess like a little less is more. Some guys go crazy. I really don't know where I am on this because normally I'm kind of like a crazy chop guy. Like, that's 6.5 inches. It's like a pancake. You could make breakfast on the roof. I love really low stuff, but I feel like this car is like a little bit classier than I am. So I have to make it a little bit classier. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. I know I do want to chop it more, but I definitely don't want to chop it too much. I believe this is a car that you could chop too much, and I don't think that I would personally love it if it was chopped too much, because I'm trying not to be too radical with this one. My vision for this car is to be kind of like a period possible early but like, I guess like a bomb, like an early bomb, like a 1940s, 1950s kind of bomb, I guess. So I do want to give it old school hydraulics. I do want it to, lift and lower. I am going to cut the floor up to allow the back to get all the way down. I'm going to try to use the original front suspension, drop the axle, and then add hydraulics to it, make something kind of funky there. So that type of a car, what kind of a chop? I just don't want it to be too crazy of a chop. I just want the chop to be kind of a little bit more than mild. And so for me personally, like right now, I'm thinking like, if we take maybe another 1.5 inches, maybe even 2 inches out of the pillar. Let's grab a tape measure real quick. Let's just have a look where our window is sitting. And keep in mind too, like the side windows, there's a side window. Look at how thick this is. We got like 3 inches of thickness here, okay? So that would make the side of this 3 inches lower than it is now. So if in total, where are we at? We've got about a 12-inch there, so it would be 9-inch. So our window opening would be about there, which I do think is a little bit too much. I don't know. What do you guys think? Like 1.5 inches less than that would be another 2 inches out of this, approximately, because of the angle, right? So right now we would have a 9-inch window opening. Maybe it's, you know, a 7.5 inch window opening. I could probably get down with that, you know, 7.5 inches. So that would be like, this is why people render things, you know? I'm just kind of Mr. Eyeball, so I'm thinking like that. Like that. You know? Like if I take 2 more inches out of the pillar, I think I get about 1.5 inch drop, and that's kind of the look I'm going for. I think it'll look cool. I think it'll be a little bit more than what most people would do, maybe, because the car's so big. I don't know. I might just wing it. It would help to see this in Photoshop or take a picture and cut it. I've never done that in my life. I've always just kind of been like, and make a decision and then cut it. So I think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go 2 more inches out of the pillar to drop us 1.5 inches, I guess. I don't know, people always say like, do a little bit at a time. I don't know what to do. That's probably what I'll do. I'll probably go 2 inches there, it'll drop 1.5 inches, and then I think it'll be really nice. Yep, decision made, 2 inches out of the pillar. Okay, so right here, it might be difficult to see in the camera, but if you can differentiate between this color material and this color material, basically this is lead. So back in the day, instead of Bondo, they used lead, and the pillar was a common place to join the deep draw panel of the roof with the pillars. So there will always be kind of lead in the pillars of cars, and you can really see this lead from up underneath. If I can really get you up here. Let me see. Can you see how thick this is? I've already ground quite a bit away, but they've really filled this up with lead to smooth these panels together during, you know, factory business, I guess. So because we're welding this together, I can't weld to lead, so I'm gonna have to grind off all the lead near the weld joint, is what I'm doing now. I'm using this as a cookie disc. It's like a Scotch-Brite roll lock from 3M. Again, these guys don't sponsor me, I just like the products. They're really hard, and they're very good at removing paint or anything else, body material, fillers, off of steel without grinding the steel too much. I don't know. Okay, this is the original piece that I cut out. So I believe it was 3.5 inches. Yeah, so this is like 3 3/8 of an inch plus blade width, 3.5 inches. And then we cut another 2 inches out. So I mean, vertically, that's not a lot. Like, I don't know why it seems so extreme to me right now. You know, in total, we're 5.5 inches. So from here to here, 5.5 inches on an angle. So vertically, we're only chopping, you know, vertically, maybe a 4-inch chop total. 4 inches of vertical chop. That's not a lot. I guess for a Zephyr, it's a lot. To be honest, I'm like so on the fence with this right now, because if I line this up here, you know, it's not bad. It's a heavy chop. It gives me that, like, you know, yeah, heavy chop vibe. You know, it's kind of cool. Sometimes you see a car that's like really chopped and you just like, kind of like, whoa, that's badass. Like, it's not just like, oh, that's an elegant custom. You know? I don't know. Okay, well, I sent a little video to our friend Jordan Bennett, Bennetts Customs. Check out his channel. Total traditional hot rod guy, friend of mine from here, moved away to Australia 9 years ago on a surf trip and just never left. So anyway, Jordan Bennett, respect his opinion. And so I did a walk around video of this thing and I was just kind of like, man, did I go too far? I was like, you know, and he's kind of like me. So he's biased to a little more chop than a regular chop. And he kind of is like, you nailed it, like just go for it. So with his blessing, I'm going to stick to the plan. It's gonna be the most chopped Zephyr in town. Okay, we have done a little bit of surgery. Pillars have been cut I've cut diagonally across the tops of both top and bottoms of both pillars so that we can tip the bottoms in and the tops slightly out so that we can realign this. What I first did was tack the inner structure of this side. I just tacked them right where they should be, nice and flush there, and lined up this inner structure on this pillar. So now what I'm gonna do is push the roof over this way a little bit, and this pillar will tip and that pillar will have to be tipped and aligned for us to find the happy medium. So basically this is going to pinch tight. This cut line is gonna pinch tight here. And the reason these are on kind of weird angles and diagonals is because I want the pillar to bend at the bottom of the pillar. You know, I want it to bend where it lines up to the bottom of the door, because the door now will have to tilt slightly in as well. So, you know, if we made that cut line straight across here, then it would pivot here and you would see a break in it. So this is kind of a better spot to come down to so that the door, or like the window, has finished at the bottom so that the whole thing is kind of going over at once. That's why these diagonals exist. And this one as well, it's trying to get it up to kind of the top part of the roof so that when it tips, it's just not noticeable. It's more like a twist in this line rather than a twist or a bend in this line. It's easier to twist up here, like pivot that way, rather than come straight across and then bend this out. That's why you see diagonal cuts like this. So that's my next step, is to fully line this up. I'm actually getting very excited that that this is it. Like, we are committed. We are in it to win it. Okay, now we've got these pillars tipped together and we've split the difference. So how I come up with where to line these up when I'm chopping any vehicle. I kind of work from the inside out. Okay, so what's important to me is that the door jamb and structure of the roof is actually in decent alignment. Like I look for that and I try and do that first if it makes sense. It doesn't always make sense, but I want to make sure that this line is straight. I want to make sure that that gutter is going to be straight. That is important to me because outer sheet metal, you know, if you're taking some from up here and some from down here, it might not line up. So using that as a reference to line something up, it kind of doesn't make sense because it's just an aesthetic. It's not like the structure of the car. So like this can always be changed, and it will have to be changed on most chops. Like it doesn't line up, right? This is bulged out more. This is actually kind of under, but the beautiful thing is that those are working in their favor. When you push this down, it might push that out. So we're gonna have to do some massaging, and certainly there's gonna be lead back in here. Because there's, you know, we've taken lead out, so to smooth that back out, it's either going to be Duraglass or lead. So I'll just put some lead back in it. And our pie cuts, these ones ended up getting a slight bit wider because had to be tipped out. These ones got tighter because they were tipped in. That's kind of how it works with the front windshield of most chops that are, you know, that shape, unless it's like a 20s car. But even then, there's some tipping. But yeah, same deal, both sides. It tightened right up in, you know, here, and so I had to recut it again just to get a little bit more. And the inner structure is lined up nice on this side as well. It's, you know, a smooth flowing line here. It's not, you know, if you shouldn't have like a bend where this happens. You want to try and make it line up really good. So anyway, that's how I go about doing a front pillar. And like I said before, the reasons for cutting these is to kind of move the pivot points to the top and bottom of the pillar rather than come in part way and make a funky bend. So yeah, right now, the next thing is just kind of clean this all up and start massaging these pieces so that they line back up. Like right now, this one sits low and this one sits high. And I'll have to kind of manipulate those to line them back up when I weld them, as well as work these and try and get everything lined up as good as possible and welded. All right, so we've got this pillar mostly tacked together, and you saw originally how far off this material was from this material. Like, this seemed quite a bit further this way, but it was also sticking out, like kind of out this way. So I just kind of massaged it with the flat face of this hammer and then using the rubber hammer on the backside, and I just kind of like tapped and basically pushed this metal in, which then made this end kind of push out. And it did take a little bit of work, but I got it to line up like pretty much perfect. And it doesn't have a sag at all this way. Like it's not bent in, it's actually in alignment with the post. So it did go together pretty decent. And same thing with the back. I even aligned this to that by tapping this out. There's just a little bit of give in everything if you hit it with a hammer. So if things aren't perfectly aligned, but they're very close, usually you can kind of just tap things around. And so I like using the head of a hammer, instead of actually whacking it with the hammer itself, which you could be kind of all over the place, you just put the flat face of the hammer there and then hit the backside with, you know, a rubber mallet, and you can kind of just massage and manipulate and move things over. So I think that all this is actually going to grind out pretty well. This double cut is when I cut it, I obviously cut on the wrong side of the tape or something. The drip rail is close, but this inner bead of the drip rail doesn't quite line up. So I think if I drilled out a couple spot welds on this drip rail, I could just kind of nudge it out a touch and then line that up perfectly. Yeah, so I've got one side kind of tacked. The top spreads and this bottom part pinches. So same deal with this. Like, look, this is how far off that other one was. Like, you know, this is sticking way out. That's kind of way in. But when you push this down, the metal has to go somewhere, so it's gonna come out this way because it can't come out this way since it's welded. So, and that's how most chops are. Like when you're dealing with pillars, there's always gonna be some manipulation. I think we got lucky with this one because the same amount of material was there to massage over and line up well, but a lot of times you might have to cut vertically and then, you know, pie cut or manipulate so that everything lines up well. You definitely don't want to have any sharp corners or anything. You want the window to still flow. So we definitely got lucky, I think, with this one. But it does take a little bit of work, but it's all worth it because now these, you probably saw me as well using like not a tape measure, but a ruler on edge. And I'm checking for the panel alignment from side to side because you might be able to look at it or feel it and think, okay, it's like, it's lined up. But without really looking at it with a ruler, you don't fully know, and it's worth it because you can make fine adjustments, and if you can get it dead flat, you know that when you grind the weld away, the weld will disappear. If there's just a tiny bit down on either side, then you're gonna see the edge of the weld or you'll have to grind too far. So I think it's worth it to really check and make sure that everything's aligned flat. That way when you're grinding, it fully comes out and you're done. So I'm gonna blast through the other side here and then that'll be that. Quick little shout out here. I just remembered that I got this tool in the mail a while ago. Haven't needed it yet. This is a little spoon type tool that's meant for lining up panels. I'm about to use it on this right here just to align them before welding. And it's from Leon Grice. FordRamAir.com is his business, I suppose. And he just says, I really enjoy your videos and I've learned a lot from them, enough to get me through some major hangups. And I encountered building my Chop 35 Ford 5-window. Big respect. I see you use a screwdriver to align your butt weld panels. Here's a pry tool especially made for that purpose. I hope you find it useful. God bless, Leon Grice. So thanks a lot, Leon, appreciate you. Here's a picture of his car. Yeah, rad. I'm gonna use this tool right now. All right, so got the posts all ground down. The lead does look a little ugly. You know, there's quite a bit of lead in here. I'm undecided whether or not I torch all this lead out and re-lead the whole thing, or if I just, I don't know if you, I'll have to find out if you can just patch in lead. I guess it doesn't really matter. I should probably just torch it all out and re-lead the whole thing. It's either I re-lead the whole thing or I make a panel and just like weld in a new panel. I know a lot of guys would make a new panel and just replace, because this will be ugly underneath that, I'm sure. But I don't know, I might just let it. It's old school, is what it is, you know? Happy with it, the way it all kind of worked out. It was a little bit tough controlling whether or not this was going to sink. So as you can see me kind of like fighting it along the way, that's what it takes to line stuff up nice, is that you're gonna have to just kind of work with it and tweak it and just keep working on it, you know? Yeah, this pillar turned out really good as well. The lead is kind of gobbledygook in there, but all these cuts ended up being pretty good coming together. I still haven't welded up the inside, and I haven't welded up these cuts that go diagonally on the inner structure. The reason being is because I don't know, like I don't really want to lock all that in just yet, because this right now, I have a little bit of play in and out. I'm going to be cutting the roof off here somewhere and removing that and then starting to build the new door tops. So I kind of just wanted to have a little bit of play in there anyway, in case we want to tip this in or out. We'll weld that stuff up later. I think next, I'm just gonna cut this straight across there and then start building the door tops. All right, well, thanks a lot for watching Make It Custom, everybody. Really appreciate it. I'm having fun on the Zephyr again. I feel pretty motivated to get some actual progress happening on this car over the next couple of months here. So next video is gonna be on door tops. We're really gonna start to see the profile of this car, the 3-window coupe conversion, and we'll go over what needs to happen to door tops to get them to align to the inner structure. We'll also build out the rest of the door frame as well. And drip rail section, that sort of thing. So anyway, yeah, the shop, you might notice the shop is a little bit different now. We've got a metal or a sheet metal working area over here. The ramp truck is gone in the back, and the Zephyr is kind of in the middle of the party, so it's the main focus. And I'm excited for it, so appreciate you guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Don't forget to like, click subscribe, hit notifications. And if you want to be part of the custom crew, that'd be awesome. It's $5 a month. You get a badge by your name. Makes you a lot easier to be searched in the comments. You also get 15% off at the merch store, which is japhandskustoms.com, if you want hats, hoodies, t-shirts, stickers, keychains, and some of the tools that we are rolling out, such as the Mother Tucker hammer stuff. Anyway, we'll catch you on the next one, everybody. We'll see you later.